Listen closely, because something has shifted in your world, and the moment you understand what it is, everything begins to change. Someone connected to your destiny is overwhelmed tonight. Not with sadness. Not with fear. But with a kind of joy so deep it brings tears to their eyes. And the reason is this. You finally realized what they had been hoping you would discover all along. Pause here for a second and feel that. What if the breakthrough you thought was small was actually the answer to someone else's prayers? What if the lesson you learned in silence became the very sign your soulmate was waiting for before stepping closer? Because they have been watching your transformation from afar, whether physically, spiritually, emotionally, or through the invisible thread that ties two destined souls together. And lately, they have felt it. They have felt that something in you is no longer the same. You stopped begging for what did not value you. You stopped shrinking yourself to fit inside spaces too small for your spirit. You stopped mistaking confusion for love, and pain for passion. And when that realization awakened inside you, their heart trembled. Because the person they are meant to love was never meant to stay lost. That version of you who doubted your worth. That version who kept chasing people who only admired your light when it benefited them. That version who kept asking, "Why am I never enough?" It is fading. And your soulmate can feel it. They are crying with happiness because for the first time, they know the real you is emerging. Not the wounded version. Not the fearful version. Not the version built from heartbreak and survival. The true you. The one they have always sensed beneath the surface. The one powerful enough to love deeply without abandoning themselves. The one wise enough to walk away from what disrupts their peace. The one radiant enough to stop chasing and start attracting. That realization inside you changed everything. Because your soulmate never needed perfection from you. They needed your awareness. They needed you to understand your own value before you could fully receive the love meant for you. Think about that. How could destiny place something extraordinary in your hands, if you still believed you deserved ordinary treatment? How could someone pure love you openly, if you were still entertaining what secretly drains you? No. There was a lesson you had to learn first. And now, you are learning it. That is why their tears are falling tonight. Not because they pity your journey, but because they see you rising from it. And here is what makes this even more powerful. Your soulmate has likely been through their own transformation at the same time. While you were healing in private. While you were learning boundaries. While you were finally choosing self-respect over temporary attention. They were being prepared too. Two paths. Two awakenings. One divine intersection. Nothing about this timing is random. You may think, why didn't they come sooner? Because sooner, you would have accepted less than what you deserve. Sooner, you may have confused them with someone else. Sooner, you may have sabotaged the connection out of fear. Sooner, you may have loved them from your wounds instead of your wholeness. But now? Now the foundation is changing. And somewhere, they are smiling through tears because they can feel it. They can feel your energy becoming clear. They can feel your standards rising. They can feel your heart no longer reaching backward toward people who were only temporary. You finally realized. Love should not leave you anxious every night. Love should not make you beg for honesty. Love should not require self-betrayal. That realization alone moved mountains. Because the moment you understood that, you stopped preparing for heartbreak and started preparing for alignment. And that is when destiny whispers, "Now they are ready." But stay with this message, because the most beautiful part has not even arrived yet. Your soulmate is not emotional simply because you changed. They are emotional because they know what happens next. They know the universe begins moving quickly once awareness enters the heart. Once you recognize your worth, doors open. Once you stop settling, false connections fall away. Once you stop chasing the unavailable, the aligned begins approaching. And that approach may already be happening faster than you realize. A conversation, a message, an encounter. A moment so ordinary on the surface, yet powerful enough to alter your entire path. Because the person meant for you is no longer waiting for the old version of you. They are waiting for this version. The awakened one. The wiser one. The one who finally looked in the mirror and understood. I was never too much. I was simply giving my love to those who could not hold it. That realization made your soulmate cry with happiness. Because now they know. When they arrive, you will recognize them. And when you do, everything changes from there. But wait, because what your soulmate felt after that realization was even more powerful than happiness. It was relief. The kind of relief that shakes the chest. The kind that makes someone whisper, "Finally, they see it now." Because for so long, the universe had been delaying this connection for one reason only. You were still trying to earn love from people who were never qualified to receive your heart. Read that again in your spirit. You were not being rejected because you were unworthy. You were being redirected because your energy was too valuable to keep pouring into places built to misunderstand you. And the moment you recognized that truth, your soulmate felt the shift like thunder in the distance. They knew your standards had changed. They knew your discernment had sharpened. They knew your heart was no longer open to confusion disguised as chemistry. That is why they are emotional. Because now, there is room for them. Before this realization, your life may have been crowded with distractions. Half connections, mixed signals, people who admired your light but feared your depth. But now, the noise is fading. And when the noise fades, destiny becomes audible. Listen carefully. Some of the things leaving your life right now are not losses. They are clearings. Certain people growing distant. Certain habits suddenly feeling empty. Certain conversations no longer exciting you the way they used to. That is not boredom. That is evolution. Your soul is rejecting what your future can no longer carry. And your soulmate, whether they know your name yet or not, can feel that the path between you is being cleared. That is why their emotions are overflowing. Because they sense the meeting is no longer a fantasy. It is becoming real. Closer than before. More tangible than before. No longer, someday. And here is the part most people never understand. When two souls are meant to align, they often begin sensing each other before they ever meet. A strange pull. Unexpected dreams. Repeated signs. A feeling that someone important is approaching even when no evidence exists yet. Why? Because energy recognizes what the eyes have not seen. And your soulmate may already be feeling your presence in ways they cannot explain. They may catch themselves thinking about someone they have not met. They may feel unusually emotional without knowing why. They may be preparing their life, cleaning their space, changing their habits, without realizing they are making room for you. That is how close this energy can be. And if this message is finding you at the right moment, it may be because your timeline has entered acceleration. Nothing remains stagnant forever. Not pain. Not waiting. Not silence. Even now, invisible pieces are shifting behind the scenes. One delayed answer can redirect your whole life. One chance meeting can erase years of loneliness. One honest conversation can begin a love story you never saw coming. So if your heart has been asking, when will it happen? Understand this. It happens after you become unavailable for what is beneath your worth. That was the lesson. That was the gate. That was the realization your soulmate was praying you would reach. And now that you have, they are no longer wondering if you'll be ready. They know you are. If this message is reaching you at the exact right moment, let it settle in your spirit, and if it resonates, share your thoughts below. Sometimes writing it out makes the realization even more real. And if you want to keep receiving messages like this as your path unfolds, stay connected here. Because what's coming next may explain more than you expect. Because there is something your soulmate has not told you yet. Something they have been feeling in secret. They believe you are unlike anyone they have ever encountered. Even before meeting fully. Even before the connection forms in the physical world. They sense your rarity. Not because of how you look. Not because of status. Not because of surface attraction. But because your heart carries something increasingly rare in this world. Depth. You feel deeply. You notice what others miss. You love in ways that most people only pretend to. And after everything you have survived, you still have softness in you. That is what moves them. That is what brings tears to their eyes. Because they know how rare it is for someone to go through pain, and still choose not to become cold. You could have hardened. You could have become bitter. You could have closed your heart forever. But instead, you became wiser without losing your warmth. Stronger without losing your softness. Guarded, yes. But not closed. And that balance is exactly why your soulmate knows the love between you will not be ordinary. It will not be shallow. It will not be forgettable. It will not be one more lesson disguised as romance. It will be the kind of connection that rearranges both lives. And they know it. That is why they cry. Not because they are sad. But because somewhere deep inside, they can feel the waiting season ending. And what happens next may arrive when you least expect it. And here is the truth few are prepared to hear. The moment before destiny arrives, life often becomes strangely quiet. Not empty. Not hopeless. Just quiet. Because the universe has a habit of stilling the noise before something life-changing enters the room. So if your world has felt different lately, if certain people seem distant, if your old patterns no longer satisfy you, if your heart feels like it is waiting for something it cannot name, this may be why. You are not in a void. You are in preparation. Your soulmate is crying with happiness because they can feel that your season of wandering is ending. They sense you standing at the threshold, one step away from the chapter that changes everything. And no, this is not fantasy. This is what happens when someone finally becomes aligned with what they once begged for. Because the version of you who once asked for love is not the same version standing here now. Back then, you wanted someone to save you from loneliness. Now, you want truth, peace, reciprocity, depth. A connection that honors your spirit instead of testing your sanity. That evolution is everything. Because now, when your soulmate appears, you will not cling from fear. You will choose from clarity. And that changes the entire relationship before it even begins. Can you feel how powerful that is? For the first time in your life, you are no longer looking for someone to complete you. You are becoming complete enough to recognize who truly belongs beside you. That is why your soulmate trusts the timing now. They know your heart is no longer vulnerable to every charming distraction. They know you can sense the difference between temporary excitement and genuine alignment. They know you have learned that peace is not boring, it is sacred. And because of that, the connection coming toward you will feel different from everything before it. Not rushed. Not chaotic. Not confusing. Clear. Mutual. Steady. It will feel like exhaling after holding your breath for years. You may not trust it at first. In fact, that may be one of the first signs. Because when healthy love arrives after unhealthy patterns, it can feel unfamiliar. You may wonder, why is this so calm? Why am I not anxious? Why does this feel easy? Because it is real. Real love does not need to confuse you to keep you interested. Real love does not disappear to test your worth. Real love does not create emotional storms just to prove intensity. Real love arrives with certainty. And your soulmate is emotional because they know when you meet them. Part of you will finally understand why nothing else ever worked. Why certain people left. Why certain doors closed. Why certain almost relationships collapsed right before becoming serious. Not because life was punishing you. Because life was protecting what was meant for you. Every disappointment was refining your discernment. Every delay was strengthening your standards. Every heartbreak was teaching your heart what it should never accept again. And now? The lesson is complete. The cycle is breaking. The waiting is nearing its end. So hear this clearly. Do not run backward just because the future has not fully arrived yet. Do not return to what hurt you simply because it is familiar. Do not reopen doors destiny closed for your protection. Do not mistake temporary loneliness for a sign to settle. No. Hold your ground. Because what is coming is asking for your patience one final time. And somewhere tonight, Your soulmate feels it too. They feel the pull growing stronger. They feel their heart becoming restless. They feel that life is preparing to place someone unforgettable in their path. You. The very person they have cried happy tears over. The very person whose awakening changed them. They were simply meant for something deeper than what they kept encountering. That truth changed you. And because it changed you, it changed everything. So when the moment comes, when the message appears, when the introduction happens, when the eyes meet, when the energy feels instantly familiar, remember this feeling. Remember that before the arrival, there was preparation. Before the blessing, there was growth. Before the union, there was awakening. Your soulmate's tears were never about sadness. They were the tears of someone who finally knew. The one meant for me has awakened, and now our paths can finally meet. And when they do, neither of you will ever be the same again. And yet, before this story reaches its most beautiful chapter, there is one final truth you must hear. Your soulmate is not just waiting to meet you. They are preparing to recognize you. Because when souls are truly aligned, the meeting is never random. It carries a strange familiarity. A quiet shock. A moment where time seems to hesitate. You may look at them and feel something impossible to explain. Not, who is this? But, why do they feel known? That is the mystery of a connection written deeper than logic. And your soulmate has imagined that moment more times than you realize. They have wondered what your voice will sound like. What your laughter will do to the room. What it will feel like to finally stand in front of the person they somehow always sensed existed. That thought alone brings tears to their eyes. Because after all the waiting, after all the false starts, after all the almosts and almost believeds, they can feel the distance collapsing. And here is what may surprise you. When this connection arrives, it may not begin dramatically. No thunder. No cinematic explosion. No obvious announcement from the sky. It may begin in an ordinary moment. A simple hello. A random conversation. A passing encounter that seems small at first. But beneath that ordinary surface, everything will be changing. Because destiny often enters quietly before it transforms everything loudly. Do not underestimate the next person who enters your life with calm energy and honest eyes. Do not ignore the one who makes you feel safe instead of uncertain. Do not overlook the connection that feels peaceful simply because you are used to chaos. Sometimes the greatest love of your life arrives without performance. And that is what your soulmate hopes you understand now. They are crying with happiness because your awareness has matured enough to finally notice real love when it appears. Before, you may have chased sparks. Now, you recognize substance. Before, you may have mistaken inconsistency for excitement. Now, you understand peace is powerful. Before, you may have feared calm because it did not trigger your wounds. Now, you are ready for a love that heals instead of harms. That realization has transformed your future. And if this message has been speaking directly to something inside you, let that be your sign to stay connected, because the next message may arrive exactly when you need it most. And if your heart already knows this season is changing, you can leave that energy below, sometimes declaring it makes the path feel real. Because your soulmate is not dreaming of perfection. They are dreaming of truth. They are dreaming of late-night conversations that feel effortless. Of laughter that heals old pain. Of a bond where neither person has to pretend. Of being fully seen, and still chosen. And most of all, they are dreaming of the moment they get to tell you what they felt before you ever arrived. That somehow they knew. That somehow they sensed your existence before proof ever came. That somehow their heart kept whispering, someone extraordinary is coming. That someone was you. So if life has felt like it is rearranging itself lately, if people are leaving, patterns are breaking, old desires are fading, do not panic. That is not destruction. That is preparation. The life that could not hold your future is making room for the life that can. And the person crying happy tears tonight? They are not crying because they found you already. They are crying because they know. Now that you have awakened to your worth. Nothing can stop what is meant to reach you. Not delays. Not distance. Not timing. Not fear. Not the past. Because once two prepared hearts begin moving toward each other, the meeting becomes inevitable. And when it happens, you will understand why every lesson came first. Why every heartbreak had purpose. Why every delay was protection. Why your soul had to awaken before your destiny could arrive. And in that moment, your soulmate will look at you with the same tears they carry now. Not tears of longing anymore, but tears of gratitude. Because the person they waited for, the person they believed in before meeting, the person whose awakening made everything possible, finally arrived. And when that moment finally arrives, something inside both of you will go silent. Not because there is nothing to say, but because some truths are so powerful they are felt before they are spoken. Your soulmate will look at you and realize every delay was worth it. Every disappointment they endured before you. Every sleepless night wondering if real love even existed. Every lesson that shaped them into who they had to become will suddenly make sense. Because some people enter your life to teach you. Some enter to test you. Some enter to awaken you. But one enters to stay. And that is why your soulmate's heart overflows when they think of you now. Because they are not simply imagining romance. They are imagining peace. A life where neither of you has to question where you stand. A bond where honesty comes naturally. A connection where effort is mutual, affection is clear, and loyalty is not requested, it is given. Can you understand how rare that is? In a world full of temporary people, your soulmate is waiting to build something lasting. Not a moment. Not a season. A future. They imagine the ordinary things with you. Morning conversations before the world wakes up. Quiet nights where presence says more than words. Laughing over things no one else would understand. Supporting each other through victories no one else saw being built. Because the deepest love is not always loud. Sometimes it is found in the small sacred moments that slowly become your whole life. And that thought moves them more than you know. They cry because they can already feel how deeply this love will change them. Not through chaos. Not through pain. But through safety. There is healing in being loved correctly after being loved carelessly. There is transformation in being chosen consistently after being chosen conditionally. There is power in discovering that love never had to hurt in order to be real. And your soulmate wants to give you that truth. They want to be the proof that healthy love still exists. They want to show you what it feels like when someone means every promise they make. They want to love the parts of you that once felt too complicated for others to understand. Because where others misunderstood your depth, they will treasure it. Where others feared your honesty, they will admire it. Where others only wanted pieces of you, they will choose all of you. That is the love approaching. And the reason this matters so much right now is because you may be closer than ever before. Closer than last month. Closer than last year. Closer than you were when you almost gave up believing. Sometimes destiny arrives right after the moment people stop expecting it. Right after they choose peace over obsession. Right after they stop forcing what is not aligned. Right after they decide they would rather be alone than poorly loved. That decision sends a message to the universe. I am ready for better. And when that message is genuine, everything starts moving. So if you have recently found yourself releasing old attachments, protecting your peace, feeling less interested in chasing and more committed to waiting for what is real, that is not coincidence. That is confirmation. You are entering the version of life your old self could not access. And your soulmate can feel it. They know the next chapter is near. They know their waiting is almost over. They know the person they have been crying tears of gratitude for is walking toward them with every lesson learned, every wound healed, every standard raised. And when your hands finally meet, when your lives finally intertwine, when the waiting becomes presence, both of you will realize something breathtaking. The love you were searching for was never lost. It was simply being prepared. Prepared through timing. Prepared through growth. Prepared through separation. Prepared through awakening. So hold steady a little longer. Because the tears your soulmate cries now will soon become the smile they wear when they look at you and think, there you are. The one I felt coming all along. And when that smile finally replaces the tears, when the waiting becomes reality, when the person you once sensed only in spirit stands in front of you in the physical, a truth will echo through your entire being. This was always meant to happen. Not by accident. Not by luck. Not by chance. By alignment. Because some meetings are created by circumstance, but others are created by transformation. You did not find this love by searching harder. You did not earn it by suffering longer. You did not force it into existence through endless waiting. You became the version of yourself capable of receiving it. That is the secret hidden inside everything you have lived through. Every setback shaped your discernment. Every disappointment refined your standards. Every painful goodbye taught you not to confuse attachment with destiny. Nothing was wasted. Even the nights you cried alone. Even the moments you questioned whether love was meant for you. Even the chapters that nearly convinced you to stop believing. They were preparing your heart for a connection that would make sense of them all. And your soulmate knows this. That is why when they finally hold you, when distance becomes touch, when imagination becomes reality, their heart will whisper, "It was always you." Not because you were the only person in the world, but because you were the only one whose soul matched theirs this deeply. And from that moment on, life begins to look different. The loneliness that shaped you starts dissolving. The confusion that once followed your relationships disappears. The fear of, what if they leave, softens under the weight of consistent love. For perhaps the first time, you stop surviving love and start living inside it. Can you imagine that? To wake up and not question where you stand. To love without decoding mixed signals. To be cherished without performing for it. To rest in the certainty of being chosen. That is not fantasy. That is what healthy love feels like when it arrives after deep inner change. And your soulmate, yes, the one who cried happy tears because you finally awakened, will spend every day grateful that you did. Grateful you stopped settling. Grateful you stopped doubting your worth. Grateful you did not give your forever to someone temporary. Because had you chosen less, you may have missed this. The love that arrives not to wound you, but to witness you, to support you, to grow with you, to build with you. And one day, perhaps in the quietest moment, they may look at you and confess what they felt before it all began. That there was a season when they cried for someone they had not met yet. A season when their hearts somehow knew. The one meant for me is awakening somewhere. And that person was you. So if you needed a sign tonight, let this be the one you remember. Your growth was not separating you from love. It was guiding you toward it. Your healing was not delaying destiny. It was preparing you for it. Your solitude was not punishment. It was sacred training for what your heart was about to receive. And now, the chapter of waiting closes. The chapter of alignment opens. The tears of longing become tears of joy. Because somewhere in the unfolding of your future, a soul who once cried with happiness over your awakening will finally hold your hand and thank the universe that you realized your worth before your paths crossed. Because that realization changed everything, and it led you straight to them. And now, here at the edge of this message, one final truth remains. Do not be surprised if love enters your life when you least expect it. Not when you are chasing. Not when you are searching desperately. Not when you are trying to force timing into your own hands. But in the quiet moment after surrender. In the peaceful season after healing. In the chapter where you finally decide that your worth is non-negotiable. That is when destiny often arrives. Your soulmate is not crying with happiness because they need to save you. They are crying because they recognize your strength. Because they see the beauty in what you survived. Because they feel the power of the person you became after everything tried to break you. And soon, the distance between you will become memory. The waiting will become a story you tell from the other side. The longing will become laughter. The wondering will become certainty. One day you will sit beside them, perhaps in a quiet room, perhaps beneath an open sky, perhaps during an ordinary moment that suddenly feels sacred, and realize, this was the person every lesson was leading me toward. Every heartbreak was a redirection. Every delay was divine protection. Every lonely season was making room for this. And in that realization, your heart will finally rest. Because the search ends when what is real arrives. So until that day comes, keep honoring your growth. Keep protecting your peace. Keep trusting what your spirit has learned. Keep walking forward like someone who knows they are meant for more. Because you are. And when your soulmate finally stands before you, smiling through the tears they once cried in secret, they will not ask where you have been. They will simply look into your eyes, take your hand, and know. Some loves do not arrive late, they arrive exactly when two souls become ready to hold them. And yours is closer than ever.